What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Running Man is finally here, the newer version of it anyway, closer to the book. A different movie, the same movie, and an interesting movie all at the same time. Here to talk about it with me, of course, is my hero life mate Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm here and actually excited to talk about this movie. I don't know why it's getting so much hate, or at least that's what I've seen the consensus is, but never trust or believe anyone you see what their opinion is on the internet, because people can be wrong.
Yeah, so. Especially us. We can be wrong too, but what the fuck? You're here, so enjoy it.
Also with us today, I'm always right.
Always here. He's going to be pimping whatever the hell book his friend wrote, because that's what he's been doing to me for the last 6 or 8 months. Hey, have you read this book yet? That's the guy. You hear his sexy voice you haven't heard since the Derailed days. It's Alex Payne. What's up, brother?
Listen, in StreamYard, it says you are in the show, and everyone can see and hear you. And that rubs up against my big brother fears. So thank you for, exacerbating my phobias today.
I actually know Alex's real name. If you want it, you can send your donations through the Stream Elements link in the description. Anyway, I won't tell you where he is though. You got to Google him and find out yourself. But
don't worry, so they couldn't find me even if they wanted to. I could give them my address, and Google Maps still would take them to the wrong street.
I tell people all the time, if you want my address, just let me know. I'll give it to you. Yeah, how's that line? I feel a great deal of pity for anybody who knocks on my door looking for trouble.
Yeah,
but
it's not like they're going to get a shotgun in their face.
No, not at all. I don't have a shotgun yet. It's going to be the 9mm or the rifle, one of the two. But let's see. Let's get right down to it. We are here to talk about The Running Man. This is the 2025 dystopian action thriller film produced and directed by Edgar Wright, written by Wright and Michael Bacall. It is the second adaptation of the 1982 novel by Stephen King, following the 1987 film that we reviewed last week. The cast includes Glen Powell as the titular character, William H. Macy, Lee Pace, Michael Cera, Emilia Jones, Daniel Ezra, Jayme Lawson, Sean Hayes, Colman Domingo, and Josh Brolin. The Running Man was released in the UK on the 12th of November. It was released in the US 2 days later by Paramount Pictures. The film received mixed reviews from critics, though many consider it to be a big improvement over the first one. As of November 16th, The Running Man has grossed $16.5 million in the United States and Canada, and $11.2 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $27.7 million. This against a budget of $110 million. The review website Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 64% of 227 critics' reviews being positive. The website's consensus review reads, quote, "Spiritedly sprinting through a grim source material, Edgar Wright's The Running Man doesn't live up to the director's high bar for inventive action extravaganzas, but maintains a slick stride." I don't know about all that, but we're going to get your guys' thoughts on it right now. I'll start with you, Jeremy. Give me your quick thoughts on this newer version of The Running Man.
Honestly, I liked this version better because this is kind of what I envisioned, like what I thought, like, when we reviewed the old one, it's like, I kind of wish this is more so what it had been like. I mean, the old one is what it is. I mean, I still like it. As cheesy as it may be, and it's very, a very Arnie movie, as we would say, I'm sure. But honestly, I think this kind of gives it a little more. I don't want to say a little more life, but it's a little bit more full, a more full movie, more full story that I think that I was always kind of hoping for. That I'm like we said before, like on the old review. I feel like there's a good idea here and a good story that you could, in a world that you could really sink yourself into. And I think that's what this one did, honestly. And with it being closer to the book, I feel like that's usually a good thing, because that's always the complaint that a lot of people never shut up about. Like, Harry Potter's not like the same as the. Yeah, I know. Shut up. I read the books because I don't read. But trust me, like, I know it's two different mediums. Just, they're not going to be the same, but yeah, no, I definitely like this one. It, like we'd said before we got on here, it didn't feel like it was 2 hours. It didn't really have any pacing issues. I thought it kept me pretty engrossed for the whole ride. And Glen Powell's a thing, whether Frank wants to admit it or not. Glen Powell is absolutely a thing, and I think he really makes it a thing in this movie because I feel like I can't relate to Arnie. Obviously, I'm not like 6'2", and I don't pump iron on the fucking daily. But like, there's something more relatable about Glen Powell that like he is kind of the heart and soul of this movie, and I think that's what really drives it home and sells it.
Yeah, I think at this point Glen Powell has fully arrived. there's no denying that. Oh no, Alex,
we arrived with him. Trust me. I think you just got to the platform, but I was on the train with him. Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know, Alex. What do you think? You got a chance to watch the movie. What do you think about this one before we get into it?
Well, I just want to say, for starters, I'm not a movie critic. This is literally, no exaggeration, the first movie I've watched since It Part 2 in 2019, was that? So that's how long it's been since I watched a movie. And actors are people that exist. And that's all I have to say about them. I couldn't, even though y'all even just said the name 30 seconds ago, couldn't tell you the name of anyone in the movie. So, I'm not going off of actors, value or any of that other stuff. I'm just going off of, But that was my first thought when I went and clicked on it, was this shit is 2 hours? That was literally my first thought. And I was like, well, all right, then I guess I got to dedicate an afternoon to this because I'm an illegal, so I watched it illegally. And to give my general thoughts, I don't know, for me, and I don't know if this is heading into review territory, but I guess my quick thoughts are, it felt like there was too much focus on action elements, and the story part of it didn't seem like it got a lot of room for me. Like, it never really felt like it went as deep into the emotional sides as it could have. That's my quick thoughts. And then, deeper later on.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I found that picture that we had used. I think it was for the Twisters review of Glen Powell. Stop trying to make Glen Powell a thing. Because I've been, every time we talk about Glen Powell, that joke comes up, and I keep thinking to myself, I need to try to figure out what the hell I do with that picture. But I'm pretty sure I found it for the Twisters review. But if it's there somewhere, I'll get it. But yeah, for me, again, it's different from the original film, from the '87 film. Obviously, it's much closer to the book.
I didn't watch the original, but for the record, and I did read the book. Just putting that out there. I didn't watch the original movie, read the book. Go on.
But yeah, I'm glad it was different. I mean, you couldn't just do another shot-for-shot remake. That'd have been kind of boring. So making it closer to the source material, and not just the new actor, but kind of refiguring kind of how all the characters fit into this world was the right way to go. Look, I thought the movie was entertaining. It's got some things about it. Sure, it's not the perfect film, but I walked out of there pretty happy that I spent, whatever money I spent on the ticket to watch it, because I thought it was a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get into
money. That must suck.
Well, I want to see these things on the big screen. I know that people kind of poo-poo going to the theaters now, but it's still the best way to watch a movie. I mean, some movies, Star Wars, Marvel, whatever, they need to be seen on the big screen first because they're special effects. They don't really pop on on your TV the way that they pop on the big screen of the theater. Some movies that are more dramatic pieces, maybe it doesn't matter a whole lot whether you see them in the theater first or on television. But I mean, I like the theater experience. I still do. I still love going to watch movies. It's fun. I like sitting in the comfortable seats with my popcorn and my drink and just letting the thing happen in front of me. It's still fun for me. But whatever. We're still in a bit of a comeback mode for the theaters. But yeah, I thought the movie was a lot of fun. I wasn't mad about it at all. I'll go to you first, Jeremy, for this one. I know that you're like me, or an Edgar Wright fan. The Cornetto trilogy and all the other cool stuff he's done. What do you think of the effort of Edgar Wright in this film?
I mean, Edgar Wright is in the lexicon of directors that I do enjoy their movies. Obviously, the Cornetto trilogy. If I look to my left over here, I almost forgot which direction I'm going. Oh, we can just pull them right off the wall casually, and I just have Sergeant Nicholas Angel right there. So
I'm going to steal it. Next time I'm at your house, I'm stealing that. I want you to know that.
No, you're not, because I may be getting it signed by Simon Pegg. So yeah, absolutely not. Because he's at the next con I'm going to. So, anywho, yeah, I do like his movies. I like his style. I think if again, sometimes I've said this before. Like if there was a director that I'm like, if you told me here's a director and here's the movie they're going to make, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I could trust this would be a good thing. Like we said with Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I still don't know why somebody thought, oh, what's his goddamn name? Tim Burton, and then Pee Wee Herman. I'm like, huh? Okay, that makes no sense. But the whimsy, maybe. But I'm just like, those two things doesn't really seem to make sense to me. But no, I kind of like what I did with this. It wasn't like it was like absurd or anything. It's like, I mean, this kind of thing is like, it's enough that it's like it can be. It's one of those cautionary tales where you're like, oh, this seems a little out there, but not so out there that you're like, well, we're a couple turns away from that kind of thing happening, But I think he brought enough of the like you got these kind of like quirky characters that at least kind of stand out, like someone like Michael Cera's character, obviously, and I wasn't sure if we were going to do like the WWE portion of like here's Buzzsaw, here's fucking Fireball, like these guys that are like larger than life that are very specific characters, but it still worked nonetheless. I mean, I didn't really have too many doubts going into it from a directorial side. So again, I liked this movie, and apparently I'm in the minority on that in terms of the internet. But
well, what does the internet know?
A lot of things and a whole lot of nothing sometimes. So
the internet knows everything and nothing at the same time. I don't know. Yeah. And I know you probably not being as versed on the directorial efforts of Edgar Wright, Alex. But what did you think of at least the way that
people too?
They are people too. What do you think of what do you think of the way that this film was put together and the job that Edgar Wright did with this film?
Well, I'll answer this question here because I don't, like you said, I don't know shit about directing styles, who these people are. Are they even people? Who can say? It was a futuristic movie. Maybe it was made by AI, but the pacing for me was kind of like weird in the way that it felt like it was trying to be an emotional story and an action movie, but it was only an action movie except for like maybe 5 minutes of the movie. And so like the pacing was kind of odd for me in the sense of that it all went by pretty well. And and a side note, I love how they literally just outright had a liquid death ad in the movie. Like it literally was just an ad, and that was hilarious to me. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. It literally even said brought to you by Liquid Death, the Running Man. Like you literally can't get more direct ad than that. But the pacing was odd for me. It wasn't an unenjoyable odd. It was just unenjoyable for me in terms of character, story, and stuff like that. Like it never really felt like, especially the ending. I don't know if it's just me, but that whole ending portion from pretty much when they got on the plane to the very end felt like it was rushed a lot. Like it was just like, yeah, over. Like it didn't feel like it was well paced. Like it didn't feel like the tension, because even like when he was like, oh, are you going to take the deal? And then, oh, no, okay, well, here we go. It was like, all right, well, thanks for building the tension. You know what I mean? So the pacing was a little odd for me in terms of character, but in terms of action and all that other stuff, like that portion of it was really well done in my homebile opinion.
Yeah, I thought the pacing was pretty solid. The end of it kind of like the very end when they're on the plane, I thought was a bit rough, some of the editing and the way that some of it happened. But after thinking about it for the last couple of days and seeing the movie, I'm kind of like, well, that was kind of the reveal at the end anyway, how we got to the to the last like 2 minutes of the movie where shit really starts to pop off. It was just part of how he got there. So I kind of I've given them a little bit of a flyer on that after thinking about it. But I look, Edgar Wright. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm starting to think there's nothing this guy can't do. I mean, his first movie in 1995 was called A Fistful of Fingers. It was a Western comedy. And then he comes out the next decade with Shaun of the Dead, Hot
Sounds more
Fuzz.
like a porno to me.
Maybe. Could be. But then he comes out with Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, obviously the two films that put him on mine and Jeremy's radar. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I saw once, but it was fun. It was years ago when it came out. He wrote that one with the same guy he wrote this movie with. At World's End, the last part of the Cornetto trilogy. Ant-Man, which was one of the funnier movies that Marvel's done. Baby Driver, which I never got around to seeing, but I heard a lot of good stuff about. Last Night in Soho was an interesting little psychological horror film. I only saw it once when it first came out. I don't remember much about it, but a lot of people I know really liked it. And yeah, so he's gone around to a lot of different things. He's done the comedy stuff. He's done the big budget Marvel Ant-Man. He did Baby Driver. He did the horror, and then he does this. He's not afraid to take on anything, and all the stuff that I've seen of his, like everything, the world building that he does for that specific story is all very appropriate for the story that's trying to be told. I mean, a lot of people think, okay, Hot Fuzz. A lot of people think it's kind of a basic comedy, and maybe in a lot of ways it is, but it's like he constructs a lot of really cool characters in that movie. And if you really kind of take a look at it a lot closely, if you can stop laughing at the movie for 5 seconds long enough to actually kind of examine the movie, you start to realize that there was a certain way that he had built the Frost character, that he kind of like he made one big alteration to it at some point in early production, and that's what made it really great, because that a lot of those lines were meant to be for Nicholas Easter's love interest, for Simon Pegg's love interest, but instead of giving a love interest, they just gave all those goofy lines to this goofy guy who's his partner, and they worked out even better. So it's just really, again, world building is important these days, because you can't just go out there and read lines anymore. Movies have to be more complete than they were in eras past. It's like, as much as I love the 80s was guilty of this a lot of times. It was a lot of style over substance. But if you see those movies that had really great substance, those are the ones that have really stood the test of time and have become classics. Like was what I was watching the other day, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's a tremendous amount of depth in that movie. It's not just Spicoli doing his thing. There's a lot of great character and everything in that movie, and that's one of the reasons why it stands out. But Edgar Wright's a fantastic director. It doesn't have anything of his that is upcoming that I can see. Let me see here. This one, some about his influences in his personal life. I don't really care about all that. But so I don't know what he's got on the horizon for himself, but I'm always eager to see anything that he has coming out. But now let me get into the cast. And I mean, good God, the cast of this film is staggeringly good. I mean, even some of the cameos in this were pretty awesome. I'll go to you first, Alex. What do you think of the cast of the film, and who stood out to you the most?
I thought to be honest, I thought it was kind of, for me, it was a little bit kind of random. For the most part, I would say 95% was great and good. Although there was a few, like for example, the lead, again, because people, names, who are they? What are they? But the lead, like I feel like a few of his lines, not too many, but a few of them weren't delivered as good as they could be. Like the delivery wasn't super great, but 99% of the stuff he did was great. But I will say the dude who had the mother, like everyone, but you know what I mean. Um, his acting, I'm sorry, was terrible. Like his whole hot dog speech was the cringiest thing I've ever heard in my life, and his delivery in pretty much every line he ever gave in that movie was terrible. It's like amateur levels. Like it's like literally like they took him from those ads you get for mobile games. Like it's literally that level of quality of acting, in my opinion. Like that's how terrible he did in my eyes. Like he literally could have. I could have gone on, a Uno game or something and see him promoting a new Monopoly Go game or something. But everyone else did pretty great. I thought the mother in that same scenario was overacting a little bit. But in
Well,
general,
she's
I
crazy.
give
So
yeah, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. But overall, I like the portrayal of everybody, and I like the acting. Everything was very believable for me, and I didn't have very much doubts, especially for the kid, because normally kids are kind of iffy with acting, in my opinion. But the kid came off as pretty believable to me, the little brother.
yeah,
But that's pretty much all I have to say. If I was to give it a score, I would give like the overall cast and their acting skills, somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 out of 10.
fair enough.
A large
Jay,
portion of that, a large portion of that missing too is just that one dude though.
I don't know. Jay, what do you think? Cast of the film. Who stood out to you the most?
Well, for as much as he was in the movie, I think obviously my favorite was Colman Domingo. He was the one that excited me the most because I was kind of wondering. I didn't look too much into this movie before I saw it because I was like, I just kind of wanted to be surprised, as surprised as I could be just watching it. So, him being the host of the game show, The Running Man, was actually kind of awesome because having seen his character of Victor Strand from Fear the Walking Dead, I was like, I think he's got that edge of being, he can be charismatic, but he can also kind of be a dick, at the same time, or he can really sell those lines, and he's kind of not a good guy, but not a bad guy. He's always just kind of a very self-serving kind of person, which I'm like, okay, I can see him being the host of the show. I know with the old one, it was like Richard Dawson was kind of both of these characters, but it was interesting that friggin' Thanos, Josh Brolin is Killian, which I kind of makes sense, I guess. You have the separation of those characters, and as for somebody who's gonna play this smarmy bad guy opposite of Glen Powell's character, I mean, it's Thanos, so I don't know who else you'd really get, but yeah, for me it was Colman Domingo. Like I said, I like just for even the bits that he did when he was doing the hosting bits. He was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm really bummed that I couldn't find more pictures. I thought I had a better picture of Colman Domingo, but I guess I don't. Yeah, the cast of this movie.
So
Go ahead.
am I the only one? Like, am I freaking out? Like, what's that dude who did the terrible? Am I freaking out?
Which
No,
one?
I'm just asking if I'm freaking out about the hot dog dude. Like, am I the only one who thought he was terrible? The hot dog guy with the
Oh, I'm
mother.
gonna get to it.
Cera. He's
Yeah.
like the same character in every movie. He's always awkward and just weird. So I don't know. He's always that way.
Yeah, he does really kind of play himself in almost every movie. But yeah. I look overall. I thought the cast was fantastic. I mean, I thought there was somebody that was wildly underused, and that was the what I do with the picture. There it is. The girl on the left. She was the girl that was what's her name? Katie O'Brien, who plays Laughlin. She was in I think the last season of Mandalorian as one of the
one of the Imperial officers or something like that.
I thought she was wasted. I thought she was a little bit of like over enthusiastic, edgy, crazy that was at some point I thought was going to work against everything that Ben Richards was going through over the course of the film. But I kind of left thinking like that's really how she died. A couple of 12-year-olds with flamethrowers. Like it seemed like such a waste. After the whole like running through the casino and sliding over the car like the Duke boys and getting away, I thought that her death would be cooler, but it was really just so stupid. I didn't like that at all. But obviously the one who steals the show here is Glen Powell. I mean, this whole movie was all about him. Not unlike Hitman was kind of all about him. He's the one that carries that film as well. He even when he's not carrying the film, I mean, he was great in Top Gun Maverick. He does kind of carry Twister, but yeah, the whole cast was really, really good. Like I said, the one really disappointing part to me was they didn't really use the one girl's character Laughlin very well. But I mean, come on. When you can play a good bad guy, there were times where I wasn't quite sure if what he was really up to in this movie.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Keeps you on your toes.
I was kind of like thinking that he's kind of Willy Wonka through this entire movie. You don't really know if he's lost his damn mind or if he's actually trying to help this guy through for one reason or another. Because there's times where I think to myself as I was watching the movie, I was like, maybe he sees the values of the ratings if somebody actually wins this thing. The ratings are going to go through the roof by finally seeing somebody win after all this time. But then, we lost Alex somewhere. He'll come back. But then it's like he's obviously trying to hamstring Ben at some point, well, at multiple points over the course of this. What is his deal? What is his gig? What is his end game? And I spent the entire movie trying to figure out exactly what the fuck his deal was. I was like, I don't know if he's trying to like be a sort of a good guy or maybe even a what's the word, anti-hero of sorts. I couldn't understand exactly what he was doing, and we've got Alex back. But I could never understand where he was at. And then finally at the end of the movie, I was like, oh, well, he was just a bad guy all along, which makes sense. But I thought he did a great job of confusing, at bare minimum, confusing me as to what the hell was going on. But yeah, like I said, Glen Powell is fantastic. I feel like the main bad guy played so brilliantly by Lee Pace. I'm not quite sure what he was meant to be. I never felt like he was a good bad guy. I feel like that character. I feel like at the end it should have come
used him a little more.
Yeah, I don't really know what they were trying to do with him. It's like the whole time you see him like he's the guy who walks up slowly on his prey and is going to kill them. Mm-hmm. Like the whole movie, he's just making that slow walk towards Ben Richards, and then finally we get that scene in the airplane at the end, which is fine. But I'm like, I don't like it when you're muscle guy, you're heavy for the movie, is kind of hiding in the background for the 90% of the movie and doesn't really get you don't get to use his characters at the very end. I wasn't really fond of that either. But
that goes to what I was saying about like where are they like there was a lot of stuff happening and a lot of action, but there wasn't much story development, in my opinion, with a lot of characters.
There wasn't character development for the two people that I mentioned, for the chick's character and for this main hunter guy. I just not because they developed the McLaughlin character okay, but the payoff for her character was disappointing. As far as McCombs or whatever the hell his name is, McCone. Evan McCone. I don't understand what they were trying to do with his character. It's like he's the one who's brooding in the behind everybody else that's talking in the background, and then he finally gets the chance. When the whole reveal of him, the guy
that was hunting him down had more fucking involvement than he did. I was kind of like, is this guy supposed to do something? And he's a hunter. I thought he'd be a little more larger than life. I was more worried about the guy that was actually chasing Ben around than this guy.
Yeah, and,
so I was like,
and because of that, when you have that reveal as he's getting on the airplane, he takes his mask off. I was like, I don't care. This is uneventful for me. So he takes his mask off. Who cares? He hasn't done anything the whole damn movie up to this point, except for a few minutes before that, he was talking back and forth with Ben over a bullhorn. I was like, why am I supposed to be amazed when it's not like you unmasked Ghostface in a Scream movie and that's supposed to be your shock value. At least Ghostface Killer kills people over the course of the movie up to that point when you finally figure out who's behind the mask. This guy's just standing there for most of the movie and then he takes the mask off. I'm supposed to be surprised. He hasn't done anything. Why am I supposed to care who he is?
And to that point too, they didn't even, because I mean, if they were going to have the reveal that he was the first runner, they should have built more lore behind the first runner. They kind of half mentioned it a few times, like, oh yeah, the first dude went 29 days. Isn't that cool? Okay, we'll never talk about this again. But hey, you're supposed to be really excited and blown away that this guy is that guy.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with that at all. It would have been better if like he'd have not spoke for the entire movie and then he takes the mask off and it would have been Arnold Schwarzenegger. That would have been cool. That would have been a banger of a cameo, and then like Arnie and Glen Powell can fight, which would have been really cool. It's like then those two could fight it out at the end, and that would have been fine. But it's like there was no buildup as to how important this character was supposed to be until they're having that conversation at the end, and he's like, "Do you think you're the one they've made that offer to?" It's like, well, if you would have at least given me some foreshadowing, so that way that reveal would have made sense, it would have shocked me. But I'm just like, but he takes his mask off, and I'm like, it's Ronan the Destroyer. I saw him in the Marvel movie a couple years ago. It's like, am I supposed to be amazed? Am I supposed to be blown away? I didn't really get it, but yeah, the cast was. I thought.
I think it's funny that the cameo for Arnie was the fact that his face was on the money. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. I'm glad you got that shot. There it is. I saw that and I kind of giggled. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I was thinking like, well, wait, he's got to be somebody pretty important if his face is on the money. And I thought maybe there'd be some cameo because like I thought like Killian mentioned at some point like meeting the president of something or rather, and I was like, if it's Arnie, that'd be kind of fucking wild. Like he comes in and shakes his hand, like, congratulations, you've won the Winning Man, and whatever. Says a little one-liner and puts a stogie in his mouth and walks off. I don't know. Or like at the end there when they said like, oh, let's meet the guy who started the game, and it was just Killian. I was like, oh, that would have been funny if it was Arnie though, and walked out and did a speech, and then he comes in there and Arnie takes off and he's wrecks shop and just kills Killian on the the Running Man floor, but. I was hoping for a little more. That would have been kind of cool.
It also was kind of a throwback. Like, you remember the first Expendables movie when he has that one little cameo in that one scene, and Sly makes that like somebody's like, "What's his problem?" And Sly kind of jokingly says he thinks he should be president or something like that. The reason why that was funny is because he filmed that. I want to say about 3 or 4 months after he had taken office as governor of California. And for years Arnold's been wanting to get into politics even before being governor of California, and a lot of people were actively talking about trying to change the Constitution so that he could run for president, and he was just like, wild. That. But yes, I think that's funny. It kind of ties into that joke from the Expendables, because really the only people that are on the money is the president of the United States. So the fact that he actually made president,
you had to be really important. Yeah.
So the fact that he actually made it to the $100 new bill or whatever the hell it's called means that he became president of the United States. So it's kind of a completion of that joke from the Expendables. But
or from the Simpsons movie, because he is the president in the Simpsons movie, which is pretty fucking funny too.
Yeah. So. Let's get to the plot now, and obviously it's not too dissimilar from the first movie, just a bit of a different presentation. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. What do you think of the plot of the film? Did it work for you, being such a deviation from the original, but being closer to the source material of the book? Did it work for you, or is there anything you'd have changed?
Well, like I said, while I do like the old movie, I think I like this one better because, like I said, it does get a little deeper and expands more on the story. I did like that it actually felt more like we liked first of all, like the difference of like, oh, we see like the slum side, then like when he goes through the gates and all of a sudden now he's in like the rich section of town, like where all the big buildings are and all the people are dressed, in the high class people, so to speak. So its world building was actually kind of cool. So you get the idea of like, the situation people are in. And that, again, in this kind of dystopian future, which, again, I know we mentioned this. I'm like, it's funny that some of these old movies from the 80s get a lot of these things right. And that's why I said nothing why this movie would work now is because that shit is still, A, relevant, but also, B, was on point. That this world of, like, mass surveillance and with things like social media, it's like with the whole world basically being breathing down your neck, you could be spotted anywhere at any street corner. And if you took that to its, I guess, conclusion, at least, and the way this story works, no matter where you go, like, you could probably be seen by somebody. So it does kind of give you the inherent danger of, like, what this game's about, right? So I don't think there's really anything I would change about it. Like I said, I liked where it went, and it was, for the most part, similar enough, but like I said, different in a way that it was bigger. And again, I know I say go bigger for sequels. I'm like, this isn't a sequel, but if you're going to also remake a movie, you can make it a little more polished in a way, which I think is what this one did. Like I said, it didn't feel like a 2-hour runtime. Like I said, this kept me pretty gripped the whole time. And again, that's in no small part to Glen Powell and obviously Josh Brolin. These two guys going at it, and some dude with his cool little shades and his little mask and hat or something, whatever that guy was doing. So, but yeah, no, it was cool. And a nice sign off from Colman Domingo. There's a little line. If you look at my contract, section 14, subparagraph 3, it just says, fuck you. And he walks off. I'm like, there he is. There he is. I love that. I love that for him. So,
no. Alex, how about you? What do you think of the plot of the film? And again, as somebody who's actually read the book, how does it compare to you?
I was actually kind of surprised how well it followed the book. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I read the book yesterday. I read the book probably like 4 or 5 years ago, but I have a general remembrance of it. So I was kind of surprised how close it did follow the book. Now, something that was different in the book is that the plane just crashed into the building and that was it.
Yeah, I've got some trivia about that later,
But
as to why they cut
overall,
it out.
nice.
yeah. Well, I mean, I could take a really wild guess, but I thought the plot, like I said, on the emotional side, it was kind of meh. But on the actiony side and everything, I felt like the plot went pretty well. Went by pretty fast. It didn't feel that 2 hour length that I was dreading. I still can't believe it. 2 hours. I know you said that's the norm for movies now, but what happened to an hour and 20 minutes? But you know, and that's the thing too. I feel like that's what I find kind of odd is that this movie was 2 hours long and still didn't manage to find time to add these elements in there, like a little bit more focus on, the emotional character side or even the villain, like you mentioned earlier. Like with 2 hours, you're telling me you couldn't take maybe that 45-minute walk he took to get to the building in the first place and maybe add a few scenes about the former runner or why this guy should matter for the ending battle or whatever. So overall, I'm moderately pleased with the plot.
Yeah, I was really happy that they tried to get a little closer to the book this time because I feel like that's what this film really needed to do to avoid really just not being good. If you just made it like a shot for shot remake of the original or try to follow that storyline again, I think it would just look silly. I not having read the book, I'd only read like some excerpts and kind of got a general plot outline of it. I think this was a much better story overall because back in 1987, all Arnold had to do was put on the tight clothes, spit out a bunch of one-liners, and that was most Arnold Schwarzenegger movies at that time. But like I said, modern audiences can't just go with that anymore. They want more depth of character, more depth of story. And by going back to the original source material, I thought that was the best way to tell this story. Because while Glen Powell does not have the physical prowess of 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, who really does anymore? But he is still I think he's a good enough. I don't want to say a better actor than Schwarzenegger because Schwarzenegger surprised me a few times with his acting ability. But I think he's a better actor at this point in his career than maybe Schwarzenegger was at that point in his career, and that helped to tell the story from a whole new light. I wouldn't necessarily have believed Arnold Schwarzenegger was trying to save his wife and child in the first movie. I don't know if I could have believed that from a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies from the early to late 80s. But yeah, I thought the plot was handled much better. I can't think of much about the plot I would have changed other than if, like I said, we've already talked about Lee Pace's character, how the reveal was kind of a nothing burger, not handling one of the runners right. They could have made that a little bit better. Her death still kind of annoys me. I kind of roll my eyes. But look who's here. Casey's here. Yay. Gotta do something. Now, you know what this gives me the opportunity to do? Alex, I don't think you've ever seen, I'm misclicking on things. I don't think you've ever seen I haven't used it for a long time, the intro for Casey that Alex made for me.
Have you seen my wiener?
I was actually just thinking about dropping that and putting the new one in that you sent me for the Toxic Avenger. I'm glad I didn't. But but yeah, that's Casey's intro. But yeah, I think I kind of lost my train of thought for a second. But yeah, I'm really glad they stuck to something more closer to the book because I think that was a much better story to tell today. I can believe Glen Powell in this role a lot more than I could have believed Arnold Schwarzenegger if they would have made this something closer to the book. Well, I'm clicking all the wrong shit right now. Let's see. Let's go now. Let's talk now about comparisons to the original. I think we kind of have to compare a few things just because, it is a remake. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. How did you think this compared to the original? Which one do you think is better, and is one way better, or are they close? What do you think?
Like I said, I think if I was going to sit down and watch either of these, I honestly think I would much rather watch this one. And again, it's not just because it's newer, but I liked, again, that it had a little more substance to it. I mean, I know we've talked about, like, yeah, you could watch this and believe that this is an Arnie movie. Like, yeah, it's him punching things and saying things, shooting stuff. Like, yep. That's put in the line of all the other Arnie movies where he does the same thing. I don't know. I do like this one because, like I said, it gives a little more. I like that I like the idea of the old one, that it's just they drop these people into a what was it, like a 400 square block bit of just like the ruined city that basically you just kind of build this crap over top of, and they just drop them into this, and that's your game field, and they let people loose. I like this one with the fact that you kind of have a little more freedom. It's like, yeah, you can go wherever, and you get a little bit of a head start, and you can do what you got to do and be smart about it, and still have these, obviously, you have these rules to follow along the way. And it felt, like I mentioned in the old one, that it felt like it kind of had a like a They Live vibe, like that. I'm like, I believe all these, it felt like the Running Man was a little bit more of a real thing, as real as it can be. Obviously, it's a fictional world. But it felt like this was a real thing that people would be watching, because, like we mentioned before, there was more. While it is hilarious, because I'm like, who else would probably do something like that? Because Liquid Death's marketing team is just hilarious, and they're on it, and that's meta as shit. Or like there was others, like when he just very obviously, like, well, I think was it Michael Cera's character, just like very obviously pulls up into frame like a fucking can of Monster. I'm like, okay, really? There's ones that it's subtle. It's not like what was the movie? The remake of Haunted Mansion, where they like almost all but looked you dead in the fucking eye and broke the fourth wall and like just said a company's name to your face. I'm like, okay, that's the wrong way to do it. That's annoying, and it just stops the entire movie. But like this felt like it was all very well incorporated, because that's what this would be. This is some weird dystopian, very late stage capitalism of we're gonna watch people be murdered on TV for lulz, So, but I like that there were other games. That was interesting. That there was other weird forms of entertainment, like running on a hamster wheel for money, and playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or some shit at the same time. So, it felt very lived in, and that's what I like about it. That it's believable, but like I said, believable enough that you could just be a few steps away from something like this happening, which thankfully we're not there yet. So, I would put my money on this one. I don't know. It's a little more real, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Alex, you haven't seen the original film, you said, so I don't know how I can ask you to compare it, but I mean, you've heard me and Jeremy talk about it. Do you think that the original film could it stand on its own against this film and still be considered decent?
Well, this is what I'll say. Because you are correct, I have not seen the original. What is an Arnold? But I'll go against your rules here, and I'll just compare it to the book. And I feel like if I was to say which one would I rather, like, watch the movie or read the book again, even though reading the book, because I do audio, and the book was like 10 hours, so I think I would rather go with the book again, just because, for obvious reasons, it's way more filled in. Like, characters' motivations are filled in a lot more. Things don't just feel like they just happen sometimes. Which, for the record, I just want to say as a side note, and I know it tends to be intentionally sometimes, but the scene where he dreamt he got caught was so obviously a dream scene. It's like, yeah, this didn't need to be here. But um, I feel like I would read the book just because I feel like they're close enough that where if I did for whatever reason want to, visit the story and I was limited on time, I would watch the movie. But in a perfect world, I would prefer the book. So I would say as an adaptation of the book, I feel like it did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think that look, they're both good for different reasons. They both have holes. They both have things that could have been better, but at the end of the day, they're both
Are
entertaining.
you talking
if
about
it's
the
got what I
movies or
want.
ex-girlfriends?
Well, either way. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie is better, but I'm not going to say that the original movie is not good. I think they're both good for different reasons. I think the original is good because it's the kind of 80s action schlock that permeated theaters for 5 or 6 years in the mid late 80s. I think this one's a better film overall. It's better written. There's better dialogue. The acting is really good. I think this is a better put together film, this newer one, than the original. But that doesn't make the original less enjoyable. And what sucks about the original is you had Yaphet Kotto, a great actor. Arnold, who was Arnold. You had Mick Fleetwood in it, for Christ's sake. You had a lot of really talented people in there, and the one thing that I've always thought kind of ruined it is like every line is just Arnold saying he had to split. He had to get to the chopper. It was the typical Arnold fare because they didn't trust him to actually spit out any real dialogue. So, but what I mean, compare them as you will. I do think that they're both good just for different reasons. Now, let me ask you guys this real quick: do you think there's any possibility of a sequel? And I'll go to this picture since I haven't used it yet because I know Jeremy will get a kick out of that one. but
Amazing.
But I don't know, Jeremy. I'll go to you first. Do you think there's any chance of a sequel? Because part of me, I don't know if I want one. I don't know if is it necessary? What do you think?
Well, first of all, that's a very Glen Powell picture right there. If you want to sum up his character in one picture in the movie, that's one of them for sure. In terms of a sequel, I guess I kind of like an open and shut, start to end movie. I don't necessarily need anything past that. It kind of had a satisfying conclusion that yeah, you get it. He won the game, came back there with he kind of took on the role of being the spark in the keg, as Michael Cera's character was kind of trying to warn him, a little reluctant to do it, but I mean eventually he did it in the end and came back there and tore the fucking burned the building down and shot Killian in the head. So and got what he needed out of it and kind of was the start of how it all kind of got torn down. So, and I like that the the chick that he came across in the car became one of the revolutionaries too, which was kind of funny. So good for her.
Yeah, she was a better character than some of the other characters in this movie.
I wanted to mention
very
that.
much agree with that.
Because I'm like, to come into the movie at the third act and still,
she doesn't even come in till like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, and she still held it down. And I was like,
saying.
damn, I'm invested. I was invested in her. I was like, well, damn, all right.
And that's what I'm saying. That was one of the few times where they actually did a good job with character and character moments and stuff. Like literally, her by herself with him had more. Their two interactions had more of character growth, development, interesting scenes, moments. Building of interest than literally the entire rest of the movie combined, in my opinion.
Yeah, she still fit into the story well enough for the time she was in it. And I was like, that's impressive. So good marks for her. But again, back to sequel. No, I think just maybe let this be what it is. And like we've said, if we now have two versions of this movie that you can still watch. So not everything needs a sequel or a shared universe or whatever the hell we're even doing anymore. So there's a reason why, like, just let it be what it is. And it's like, when that is all you have, like, people will appreciate it. Cause like, you're like, when you're 65 movies deep in a Marvel universe, you're kind of like, yeah, okay. But, you're looking at it as a whole, kind of, not just like, oh, this is one story that was told. And you're like, oh, this was great. This movie's also great. This is also great. And there can be sequels where it's like, yeah, Shrek 1 and 2. Those are amazing movies. The rest of them can, no. You know what I mean? So, just leave it. God damn it. Leave it as it is. One and done.
He's allergic to the sequel for this movie already.
I'm allergic to 30, 40-year sequels. That's what it is.
True.
Just starting my nose to twitch.
Alex, what do you think? I mean, do you think this movie is sequel worthy? Do you think they should do it? What do you think?
There is no reason on this earth this movie should have a sequel. Now, maybe a shared universe or something like where it's like same world, just completely different story, perhaps. But there is literally no reason on earth this movie should have a sequel. And that's literally all I have to say, because that's all there is to say. It's not like it's something, that can, like, it literally, there's literally no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having a sequel somewhere else in the world. I mean, because I feel like there's a lot of different stories I think you could tell in this world that he built for us. Bad news to that is that this sequel, if you're telling a story from somewhere else in this world, it wouldn't have Glen Powell, and Glen Powell is one of the big selling points of the movie. That said, the movie hasn't made a whole lot of money. So, I mean, it could end up making a decent amount of money by the time its theatrical run is over. And that's great.
But you just pick great actors. Pick great actors and have a good story. Just in
but
world.
the problem with a lot of moviegoers is they're retarded. They don't really want to go see good movies. They don't really know anything about the movie business, to be honest. I roll my eyes when people say, "Oh, all they're making these days is sequels and remakes. There's no original ideas." I'm like, do you even look at the list of movies at your theater? They're advertising the sequels and Marvel movies, comic book movies, but there's a million other smaller, low budget, like $20 million budget films. They get no marketing that you can go see at any theater, but instead you're the one complaining while you're buying your ticket to go see Fast and Furious 72, where they're racing fucking wheelchairs down the hallway of the fucking old folks home, saying family all the time.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds fire.
You're the one that's still buying tickets to those movies and not looking at the marquee and saying, "Oh, there's this small film that came out with such and such a person, directed by such and such a director that I liked. I'm going to go see that movie instead." It's just dumb. It's ignorant. But I don't want to see a sequel either. I mean, I could come up with a couple of ideas. I like the idea of the anthology that you said, but like I said, without Glen Powell, I don't think it's going to work. It's just I liked this movie had an ending. And some people might say, "Oh, well, this could be a thing. You make it a sequel." I'm like, yeah, it could, but I mean, this movie has a pretty sure ending. It ends with Killian on the ground and Ben standing over him with a gun, and then you hear the gunshot and then credits, and that's it, son. That's the ball game's over. It's like we kind of know how that goes. So I don't really see the need for a sequel, especially considering that you're not going to have Killian apparently, because the idea is that he took one of the domes. So there's not going to, I mean, sure, you can bring him back to life, whatever. You're one line of dialogue away from explaining anything you want in a movie. But I don't see that being feasible if he's actually dead. And to be honest, not everything needs a sequel. Not everything needs a shared universe. Sometimes a movie just needs to exist in what it is. There's nothing, there's only one E.T. I know that they had talked about making sequels and it didn't happen, thank God, because I think that sequel wouldn't have been very good at all. But it's like sometimes a movie is just a movie. You just let it be what it is, let it exist in the zeitgeist, let it be that 2 hours or so of your life that you're going to put it in your DVD player or find it on a streamer. You're just going to enjoy it. There's not worrying about what comes next or what came before. It's just one good movie. Let that one thing be the story. I think that's where this thing should rest. I don't see any point in it. I mean, I don't want to give Stephen King too much grace on anything these days anymore. So I don't want to see a sequel get made that's actually good, because then I have to actually fucking talk about how something he did was good. At least there wasn't any, child orgies in this book that I know of anyway. But let's get on to some trivia now. And I've got some, again, not a whole lot of stuff, but there is some pretty good stuff. I'll go to this one first since, whatever, that's the one I picked. Let's see. The giant N logo above the network building is colored red and resembles the Netflix logo. Everywhere else in the movie, the logo is colored white. This is not an oversight or an error, but a subtle dig at Netflix, who director Edgar Wright says ran trailers for his film The World's End from 2013 that carelessly gave away the ending.
Damn.
Honestly, Jeremy, I don't even remember the trailers for that movie.
I really don't either, honestly.
I'd have to go back and look at the trailer. Honestly, it's been a while since we've seen the movie, period. I have to go back and watch the movie, then watch the trailer to see if it's true. But yeah, take your digs at Netflix. Fuck Netflix. They're not very smart about shit. Let's see. Edgar Wright told him, I haven't used this picture of William H. Macy yet, so I'll use this one. Edgar Wright told Stephen King to watch Hitman to convince him that Glen Powell was the right choice to play Ben Richards.
Well, there you go.
I don't know if
it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I think this movie's better, but it was still a fun movie.
Yes.
I don't think I'm going to Stephen King to ask for his blessing for anything, to be perfectly honest. Even if I am adapting something that he wrote, because he is notoriously critical of the adaptations, the film and television adaptations that come from his books. There's been a lot of,
which is fair.
Well,
it's real. That's fair.
It's fair, but I think a lot of it is also snobbery and elitism. That he's just a fucking prick of an old man. Tom Clancy died years ago, but if you've ever watched he did commentary for Some of All Fears with Ben Affleck years ago. And I thought it was funny. I've listened to the commentary a couple times. He basically spends the entire commentary shitting on the movie. And I'm like, and I kind of wondered, I was like, A, why are you even doing the commentary? And B, why do the producers even put the commentary out if you're going to spend most of your time bashing this fucking movie that was based on your book? I mean, it's just, and I think it was kind of a lot of the same thing with him. It's just that he was just kind of, at that point, he was kind of a stuck-up old man. And a lot of people were coming to him because I remember after 9/11, he was doing the rounds in the shows in the days after because the whole incident was very much like some stuff that he had written about in some of his Ryanverse books. Because there's one, I forget what book it is off the top of my head, but the whole way that Jack Ryan becomes president is because he is appointed vice president because he's buddies with the president, and his president only has a couple years left in the White House. So he thought he'd do him a favor. He was just there to kind of occupy space. And then a couple of months after he gets appointed vice president, the State of the Union's happening, and some disgruntled terrorist guy decides to fly an airplane into the Capitol during the State of the Union, wipes out all the government, and he suddenly becomes president. So that's how he becomes president in the first place. But so he was doing the rounds at all the talk shows after 9/11, giving his thoughts, and I'm like, he's a writer. He's not really a national security expert. He might talk to a lot of people, but that doesn't really make him an expert. You know what I mean? But and I think that's kind of where Stephen King is now. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm Stephen King. I've been around for a long time, wrote a lot of books, I've made a lot of movies and TV, so I guess my opinion matters. And it's not that it doesn't, but at the same time, he's been wrong about a lot of shit too. So I don't know. Let Stephen King be Stephen King. I don't really give a shit about him. But let's see. I'll go back to Glen Powell. I haven't used this picture yet. Let's see. Tom Cruise called Glen Powell, with whom he co-starred in Top Gun Maverick, to give him advice before shooting this movie. Powell recalled, quote, "Tom rang me to give me the lowdown and what I thought would be a 10-minute call lasted for 2.5 hours. He basically told me how not to die. He also gave me running lessons," he said. He said, "You should film yourself running because you don't look as cool as you think you do." He was so right.
And this came from Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about Tom Cruise. The guy makes some amazing fucking movies.
I will say exactly what I want to say about Tom Cruise, but I'm like, this man runs in every goddamn movie. It's not even a joke. It's just the joke. So to be fair, I guess if anyone is going to tell you how to, make yourself look cool running, I mean, it's Tom Cruise. Now, if you could run that fast away from Scientology, I mean, you could do me a fucking favor. But hey, whatever. Just do what you want, man. Whatever you want to fucking do in your life.
Hey, do what you. Hey, he's what, fucking 60-something years old now. He still looks like he's 30. I mean, he's
Right.
bathing in the blood of virgins. I don't know what the hell he's doing with Scientology, but I mean, as long as you're making good movies and you're kicking ass, keep doing it, buddy. They're still talking about another Top Gun sequel, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen or not. But I don't know. Part of me kind of thinks you got lucky with the second one. Let it go. Just let 1 and 2 exist in their own thing. I just let it go. But let's see the protagonist. I haven't used this middle finger in a while. The protagonist eventually arrives in Derry, Maine. This is a reoccurring location in many of Stephen King's novels, most notably It.
No.
Most notably what?
Yeah, I caught that. I was like, really?
I mean,
As soon as he turned that piece of paper over and it said Derry, Maine, I was like, oh, I get that reference.
It's like, motherfucker,
yeah,
where
they
everything
even
happens.
mentioned it by name too. Yeah.
They did. Was he gonna casually walk by the Shawshank Penitentiary on his way there? Like, fuck you, Stephen King. Okay. Jesus.
I'm
I'm a
not
Stephen King fan. Okay.
I'm not bummed out by the little references. I mean, it is a Stephen King based story, so I mean,
Well, now you're suggesting that, like, oh, what? Let me guess. There's some clown that's gonna show up next year on the show, and it's like, haha, look at that. I don't know.
There was, I'd have to dig for it. I'm not going to do it right now, but there was some video that I had watched several weeks ago about how all Stephen King's books are connected. Like maybe not the film and television, like these things didn't make it into the film and television, but at least that all the books, he writes these little things in there that are connective tissue that draw a line from like Christine to It to Running Man to the Langoliers. Like all these things happen, if not in a shared universe, they're certainly connected somehow through something. Like that the Langoliers are kind of an offshoot.
No, see, it's like a
creature that is
combination
It,
of
stuff
both.
like that.
It's like a combination of both because I've read like 50 something of his books by this point. So it's kind of like some stuff takes place in the same world. Like for example, in Pet Cemetery, there's a mention of Cujo killing somebody, but
Oh, really?
in other cases, because like but for the whole concept of the Dark Tower is that that's the pinpoint of all reality. So a bunch of alternate realities exist. So it's kind of like a multi-universe type of thing for some things. So they all exist within the same world, just sometimes in different worlds in his worlds, if that makes any sense.
Interesting.
But they are all connected in weird little ways.
Yeah, I remember watching a video that there was a lot of stuff in the books that kind of loosely connects everything together. Just a lot of that stuff just never really made it to the movies, which I get it. If they're supposed to be subtle, it's going to be hard to work that stuff in there, but whatever. Let's think about what could have been. Let's see. A couple of people before Glen Powell was cast, Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth had all met with Edgar Wright or were considered for the lead role.
And correct me if I'm wrong, all of those are actors, right?
Yes, they're all actors.
Oh, okay. Just making sure, I don't know these people.
Well, Chris Evans was Captain America, so
you're telling me Captain America and Thor.
Yeah, Captain America and Thor, and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
I honestly,
right,
I would rather have seen Ryan Gosling do this movie than do that terrible Fall Guy movie, which was just awful. God, it was bad.
Yeah.
The action sequences were good. They were entertaining. The movie itself was just plain garbage. Just plain garbage. And I really hated Heather Thomas's and Lee Major's cameo at the end of the movie. It was just so badly done. Just so terrible. It's like you didn't even care. It's like we just need to get these people on screen somehow because they're from the original TV show. Whatever. I didn't review that movie for a reason. Like you stated. But let's see. We'll go back to the. I don't have a good picture of the end of the movie, unfortunately. But let's see. We had kind of alluded to it earlier in the novel. Ben's family actually is murdered. This causes him, with nothing else to lose, to crash the plane into the game show tower, taking both him and Killian out and ending the story. However, this was considered too unacceptable in a post 9/11 world. King's story actually preempted the actual terrorist attack by many years, which is why it didn't get noticed back then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like that's kind of, listen, I get it, right? But I feel like that's just, to use a frank term, retarded. Because it's like you're saying because this thing happened, the planes can't fly into buildings anymore. Like that's kind of a little absurd. That's like
It's
honestly,
understandable, but
it's understandable, but at the same time, it's like you're taking such, you're taking such like an interesting, because you know how many stories, types of stories, scenes in stories, and all of those stuff you're basically taking away just by saying, "Oh, well, a plane can't hit a building anymore."
well, I mean, like I said, it's understand. Here's what you got to remember: some people, not everybody, some people are sensitive, too sensitive. So where it's like all of us would see that and not really have flashbacks to 9/11, but some people would. I to be absolutely
Well,
honest,
then get therapy. That's my comment on it.
true, but to be absolutely honest, I think you got to remember that the hard part about taking a book and turning it into a movie is that there are some things in the book that don't translate well theatrically. Not that you don't want to do them, not that you don't think they're important to the story. It's just you're telling it from you're trying to take the written word and put it into a visual medium. So some things either they're prohibitively expensive to shoot. So maybe you don't want to spend the money shooting this 5-second scene that is described on 4 or 5 pages of the book, but it's all background. It's important, but it's not. You don't have to commit that kind of time to it. It's something you're going to be able to see really quick with your eye and then move past instead of reading the description of the book. And other things, sometimes you do make a change for the best. I mean, there's obviously been some that were changed for the worst. I've read all the Robert Langdon books from Dan Brown, and in the last one they made, what the fuck's the name of the movie? Anyway, the last movie they ended up making out of the Robert Langdon books with Tom Hanks, the ending of that book was fantastic. They changed the ending of the movie completely, and I thought it took away from the movie a lot. I was like, I love the ending of the book. It's fantastic because basically the bad guy wins, essentially, to kind of spoil a little bit for you. And I was kind of like, that's a great ending. It's like nobody dies necessarily, but the bad guy kind of wins at the end. And when they changed that for the movie, I was like, that's because I had read the book before the movie had gotten made, and I was kind of like, that ending is really what makes this whole story, this whole journey that Langdon goes on in this book. That was a great way to end it all. By changing it, you kind of ruin his journey a little bit. I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, but that's the same thing, Those sensitive people can't leave the movie depressed.
I actually like theatrically, to be honest, I actually like this ending better for the movie. I mean, for the book, I'm sure it's a fine ending. I don't have any problem with either ending, but I mean, theatrically, I think this ending works out better because I liked having that moment where Killian is getting thrown around, falling down all over the stage. He looks up and here's Ben walking up from behind the smoke, throws the Molotov cocktail, fire erupts everywhere. He walks through the fire with his hood up and slow motion. It's almost like one of those old shots that who's that one director that did the first couple of Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies, where like slow motion walking with the doves flying and all that. It was that kind of moment, and then you have that moment with him pointing the gun at him when he's on the ground. That was a better theatrical ending. It was a better movie ending than I think the book ending would have been had you just done that and had the movie end. It would have been kind of an abrupt ending for the film. And it wouldn't have been that moment of satisfaction that you get seeing Ben Richards looking down the barrel of that gun with pointing at Killian's head, and then you hear the gunshot, and then right to credits, and then the movie's over. That's a more satisfying theatrical ending. So I understand. I think even without something like 9/11 in the zeitgeist, that you probably would have changed the ending a little bit anyway. But I don't know. I'm actually kind of happy with the ending of the movie. I thought it was a good ending. And for the record, product placement has been around since 1902. I think was the first documented product placement. So,
See, there's nothing wrong with product placement because, like, here's the thing, and this is something, and this is kind of like what my comment on the old woman was referring to as well, is that, like, personally, I think movies and like stuff like that are entertaining and at their best when they mimic real life instead of trying to make a parody of it. Like, and I'm sure you could agree that a lot of crazy people in movies are a lot more interesting when they're realistic crazy instead of crawling up the wall trying to, shit on the ceiling fan crazy. Um, like Hannibal Lecter, for example, in Silence of the Lambs. He is a realistic, serial killer, not just something made completely over the top and unrealistic, and that's what makes it a lot more interesting. So I'm trying to remember what my original point was with the product placement. If you just go into the fridge, grab a Coke and drink it, that's what a normal person would do, and that's a good way to get the ad in there, and everything is cool. But when they do outright obvious, hey, I'm literally forcing this to be here, even though it's unnatural to be here, then that's just weird to me.
Well, it was just a billboard for Liquid Death. I mean, it's not like what was I thinking of earlier?
Oh
Wayne's
no,
World.
it wasn't just a billboard. They even talked and said, brought to you by Liquid Death, the Running Man. Which, listen,
It
that
was
was funny. I will give it that because it's about a TV show, so they had an ad
Meta.
in the TV show, so that makes it, to what I just said, realistic, as an ad.
Well, this movie does kind of it both examines society and spoofs it at the same time, because like you have that the Americano show that's going on at various points in this movie, which is obviously a put up
Definitely
of
the Kardashians.
yeah, it's obviously a put up of the Kardashians, but it's like so it's spoofing society and observing it and kind of mirroring it to us at the same time, which is kind of what I mean. Even the original film did it to an extent. I mean, because in '87 when the first film came out, this was before reality TV. I can't think of any reality TV that was out at that point, because I know like The Real World is the first reality TV that I remember being on TV like big time, and that didn't happen until the '90s.
That was the 90s, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
on MTV. So it was years after. It was years after the original film came out in '87. But it's like it does kind of make fun of the way that we consume media and how we get so wrapped up in these fake people. It's like it is kind of, both movies do kind of put that whole thing up. This movie obviously a bit more relevant because you have the Americanos on there, which, like I said, was an obvious put up of the Kardashians. But yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what both these movies did, and I guess maybe the book as well is that it kind of turns a mirror to society. It's like, this is how ridiculous you are. It's like, take a look at this. You're fawning over these attractive girls who are famous for absolutely nothing. They've done nothing in the world to garner your attention. But for some reason they're on TV and you feel like you have to watch them. Oh, and when you're not watching them, you're watching these people get murdered by these chasers, the hunters. For what reason? Oh, no reason, just because ratings and we want your money. Oh, by the way, you've got millions of people dying of the flu. But ignore all that because we've got this fat ass on a hamster wheel trying to tell me what the fucking capital of Wisconsin is before he falls and dies. It's like that's how ridiculous the world seems these days. And is it kind of an extreme examples of it in this movie and the original movie and probably the book? Yeah, kind of extreme, but remember, we're about this far from being extremely bad.
Yeah,
we're walking a fine line, and it's been that way for decades. So
I will say that at least the most real part of this movie was like he had the TV turned on and that damn Kardashians clone show was on there. He just kind of rolls his eyes like, "Oh my good fucking god!" I was like,
which is what most people do today when they watch the Kardashians.
I know. I was like, "Thank you." I can't do it. I'm not about that kind of shit. So I was just like, thank you. At least, yeah, me and him are on the same page there with that. It's like, this is ridiculous. I don't know why. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea. I don't know.
Yeah, but there is a certain amount of social commentary going on in both the films. That is, the first one was oddly prophetic for what would come not even a decade later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this film, it's just telling us how kind of ridiculous we all are for putting so much stock in this nonsense. And I even feel it sometimes as like a sports fan. It's like, I get frustrated when my team fumbles the ball, or I get frustrated when my team gives up the home run. it's like even now and again I have to catch myself. I'm like, dude, the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. It's okay. You're mad now because you want to win this World Series. You want to see your team win the Super Bowl, but the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. It's gonna be okay. And I kind of catch my breath and I'm like, don't be that obsessed crazy fan. And then I yell at the referee and the TV anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of getting sucked into the fake world of nonsense and bullshit. And we just have to keep the perspective. I guess it's kind of the warning that I get from this movie is like you can enjoy this fake shit for what it is, fake shit, and then get up and go to work and be a productive member of society afterwards. Yeah. But that's all the trivia I have for this one. Probably a good place to go to start wrapping things up. Let me get your guys' final thoughts in the movie. Jeremy, I'll go to you first. Final thoughts on The Running Man.
Good remake. I think it's a solid movie. I wouldn't tell you to not watch this or the original. Like you said, I agree with what you said. It's like the original one is still fun and it's a cool 80s action movie for what it is. But I guess I definitely liked this movie for what it was delivering in terms of tone and story and the whole world that it exists in. So I would definitely recommend watching this movie. Like I said, I'm never mad that I watched a movie ever. So, well, maybe a few times. There are some movies that irk me. I take that back. There's some that irk me because it tests my intelligence. Stuff like High Tension. It tried being clever, and then I was like, wait, huh? You don't make sense. You don't make sense, movie. But, I mean, the fact that I watched a movie is what I'm saying. But at the end of it, opinion swings one way or the other. But for this one, yeah, it swings in a positive favor for me. So it's out in theaters right now. So, I mean, it's definitely a theater movie. It's worth going to go see it in the theater, I would say. So.
Alex, how about you? Give me your final thoughts on The Running Man.
See, the thing that kind of annoys me is that you kind of set me up unintentionally because, we have this running gag about dungeon crawl and everything. And this literally is an equivalent. It's a whole, like, in terms of concept, it's kind of similar in the sense that like the Earth is turned into, a TV show where everyone kills each other for the rest of the universe. So like you're basically setting me up to make a comparison, but I'm gonna go against the grain and not let you entrap me. And I would say that this movie I enjoyed the movie. I always go off of if I would watch it again on my thoughts on how good a movie is or isn't. And would I watch it again? Sure, but I don't see myself running to. But if it was like if somebody wanted to watch it or something like that, or if it's on, I would watch it again. But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. I wouldn't. And then again, and that's the thing too, because I literally watched it today. So sometimes these things gotta simmer in your soul for a little while, and then 2 weeks from now, I may be like, you know what? I really feel like watching that movie 3 times in a row. But as things stand right now, I thought it was a good movie. I think it's passable, acceptable, and I would watch it again under certain circumstances.
I want to give Alex a little bit of credit on this. This is Dungeon Crawler Carl that he's been talking to me about forever now.
Listen, greatest book series ever. They're gonna make it into a TV show, which I'm honestly very concerned about because, yeah, but
In 2024, it was announced that Universal International Studios, in collaboration with Seth MacFarlane's Fuzzy Door Productions, acquired the rights to adapt Dungeon Crawler Carl into a television series. Christopher Yost is set to write the series adaptation. Let's see. There's a webcomic, a graphic novel. I don't know. We'll see when that comes out. But yeah. So go look up Dungeon Crawler Carl. Alex has been pimping this book to me for what feels like ever now.
Yeah, and
we just had like a whole 20-minute discussion about like advertising and shit. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not even advertising. Listen, I'm not even advertising. This is one of those things you need to have in your heart. Like it's like one of those things. When you read it, you're like, okay, I get it now. He was right. I feel like an ass for waiting this long.
Lucky for you, I don't read.
No,
Maybe
maybe
for you because you're missing out on greatness.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
But let's see. I think this is a fun movie. I don't see myself going back to the theater to see it when it comes out on one of the streaming services. I could see myself sitting down one day, cracking open a beer, and watching this again. I would have. I also thought as I was leaving the theater, there's probably a lot of background stuff, little Easter eggs that I've missed. I can imagine that Arnie on the $100 bill probably wasn't the only little Easter egg that was in there. I wanted to bet.
Oh yeah.
I was looking around for a Jesse the Body Ventura cameo. I was just, stuff like that. I was looking, for them to play like old clips of Family Feud with Richard Dawson in the background. I was looking for stuff like that, but I'll have to watch this movie when it comes out on streaming again to try to really figure out where some of the really cool deep Easter eggs are. I'm willing to bet I missed a few. But yeah, it's a good fun movie. Go see it in theaters if you want. It's a fun action romp. There is better characters. There is better storytelling in this than the original. I think they're both good for different reasons. I like the fact that this one got back to the source material a lot more. Him having a reason to do this other than I'm just in jail for a crime I didn't commit. And that's his whole reason for being around there, giving his character more depth and background, I think helped get behind his character a lot more than I ever really got behind any of Arnold's characters from 1983 until 1990, whatever. But yeah, it's a good movie. Go see it in theaters. I think it's worth it. It's worth the price of admission. But if you want to wait till it comes out on streaming, I wouldn't blame you for that either, because I don't think it's great. One thing I will tell you, I've gotten really frustrated the last several years now, especially since COVID started to die down and we were able to start going back to theaters, about how everybody hates every movie that comes out now. I don't listen to anybody else. Go see a fucking movie. For years, I have always said that back when newspapers were still a thing, like me and my buddy Kevin, I used to go to movies with him all the time. We would look at the newspaper, and if a critic really smashed a movie, we were like, we're definitely going to see that movie this weekend because that movie's probably going to be good. 9 times out of 10, it was awesome. Because don't listen to critics. They don't know shit. Don't read Rotten Tomatoes. Don't listen to anybody. If a movie interests you, go fucking see it for yourself. It doesn't have to be the next great cinematic masterpiece. It just has to entertain you for a couple hours. And if it does that, then the movie did what it's supposed to do. Stop listening to all these assholes who want everything to be a great cinematic experience. A movie just has to be entertaining. I don't know why so many people in the last several years have just shit on every movie that comes out for the sake of doing it. I don't understand it. If you're going to shit on every movie, stop going to see fucking movies. Go sit at home and watch the Americanos if you want to. If that's what you're into, by all means, sit at home and watch the Americanos. I'm sure there's going to be some webcomic that comes out about the Americanos to help push this movie. Go read that bullshit. Go watch the fucking Bachelor. Go watch your dumbass fucking shit that is just not. It's mostly designed for the lowest common denominator of people. Because if you don't like world building, fine. Just don't go see a movie at all. Because there's been a couple of movies that have come out the last year or so that have been really good films. Have they been great? Not great, but they've been really entertaining. And they're like, we talked about Frankenstein the other day. We reviewed that. Nick at Lost River Drive-In did a great breakdown of the movie as well. And he kind of had the same feelings about it that we did, that it was a very well put together movie, one that he loved. And we did as well. And it's gotten no press. I haven't heard anybody say much of anything good about it. I don't just go see a movie. Give the movie a chance before you start shitting on it. Because now we live in this world of Rotten Tomatoes and fucking Letterboxd and all this other bullshit where people are not even seeing movies and they're going online and trashing them for one reason or another. Just don't. I'm not going to be one of those old men that says if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I'm going to be like, if you don't have something nice to say, whatever you say that's not nice better be backed up by the fact that you saw the fucking movie, or else I'm going to call you a retard like you deserve to be called. Because I don't like having to hear people shit on movies for no reason. If you don't like it, fine. Say you don't like it. If you can't give me a good reason why you don't like a movie, then you're an asshole. If you say, I don't like this movie because the acting wasn't good or because the writing wasn't good, and you can come up with an example as to why, okay, fine. I know you've put at least 10 seconds of thought behind it. But if you're just like, I don't like this movie because I don't like this actor, well, you're retarded. you shouldn't be leaving your house. You're diluting the gene pool. You're not a decent person. You're just not thoughtful. I don't have time for that bullshit. Don't listen to what anybody else says about a movie. Go see it, because this is just one of many movies that's got shit on, and I don't understand why people just don't want to like movies anymore. People very badly. J-Man, Alex, you remember J-Man? J-Man's been telling me all the way back to the Derailed days. Theaters are dead. Theaters are dead. The theaters aren't going to survive COVID. Theaters are dead. I'm like, they're not dead. You just don't want to go. Don't go. It's like, don't go to the movies if you don't want to go to the movie. My dad wasn't a big guy on going to the movie theaters. He would go to like one movie every couple of years, and that had to be a really big movie, something he really wanted to see. For the most part, he was like, wait till it comes on video, wait till it comes on streaming, whatever. I'll see it whenever I see it. But it's like, just don't go. I don't get it. I mean, stay out and let people like us who want, like me and Jeremy, who want to go to the movie theater and enjoy the experience. Let us enjoy it and get the fuck out of my face about it. I don't want to. This is one of the bad things about the internet, is it gives these idiots a place to go spew their bullshit, and I'm just tired of it. I mean, don't even talk about the movie if you haven't seen it. I have never once smashed the movie Barbie. You know why? I haven't seen it. And when people say, "What do you think of the movie Barbie?" I'm like, I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea, so I haven't seen it. I'm not going to.
You didn't watch that masterpiece?
Hell no, I didn't watch that masterpiece. And look, even Nick in Lost River Driving, he's like, the movie's actually kind of funny. It's actually pretty good. And I'm like, well, I'll take your word for it. I don't really have.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen Wicked. I haven't really. I haven't wanted to. I haven't cared. I'm not going to smash the movie. I've never seen it. But I just, I don't know, maybe I will. I know the second one's going to, maybe I'll sit and give the first one a watch.
You know what you should do? You should add a whole new segment to your channel called Things I Am Positive I Would Kill Myself If I Watch, but I'm going to watch it anyway, and let's see what happens.
There's a long list of movies. there's some movies that I'm like, I read the premise and I'm like, that does nothing for me at all. Or even like some movies, like I know me and Tex have talked about a lot of horror movies. They're like really deep cut horror movies. A Serbian film. Jeremy knows what I'm talking about. I read the premise for that movie and I was like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, I don't think you want to watch that one. As of someone who has watched it, I don't think you want to.
Yeah, I read the premise for that film. I read the plot outline. I was like, I'm not gonna subject myself to that. I kind of comedically enjoyed Human Centipede. I'm not going to let myself sit through a Serbian film, but yeah, I'm like I said, go watch the damn movie. If you're curious as to whether this movie is good, go buy a ticket. Go be a grown up. Go buy a ticket. Go watch the movie. Or if you want to wait for it to come out on streaming, that's fine. Take some time to sit down and watch the movie and give it a chance. You know, who's that one guy? That one cook guy. He has a 2-bite rule. He takes 2 bites of everything before he determines whether it's good or not. Yeah, same thing. Watch the movie. Give it a chance. And if you don't like it after you've given it a chance, fine. But stop being a dumbass, because there's so many dumbasses in the world. We don't need one more. Even if you're just pretending to be a
problem is, a lot of people just decide once they hear an opinion that that's kind of their opinion now. It's like it changes their perspective when they haven't, because it happens the other way too, where they watched the movie, they liked the movie, but then they saw this review and they're like, I mean, I guess they're right.
And part of it is the media, because there's so many people out there that read the headline and think that's the story. So it's like, because I've been seeing the last couple of days all these headlines. So why did the Running Man bomb? It's like, the movie's been out for like 15 minutes. Can you let somebody go see the fucking movie first? It's like, the movie's literally been out for like 4 days. You're calling it a bomb? It's like, for one, it was only a $110 million budget. This movie doesn't have to make a whole lot of money to be profitable. It's probably going to be profitable. Maybe not as profitable as they want, but it's probably going to be profitable. Same thing with Tron Ares. Everybody says that movie bombed. Like, we reviewed that. That's a good-ass movie. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a good-ass movie. It's a good Tron movie, too. And this is coming from a guy who grew up watching the original Tron from 82. I mean, that movie, and liking Tron Legacy, which I thought was a really underrated movie. Tron Ares bombed. I'm like, who the fuck says? Did you watch the movie? Did you try to give it a chance and judge it on its merits? Because if you're not, then you're an asshole. And I don't really give a shit about what you say, and I'm not going to do it again.
That's something I've always thought was retarded. When people judge the quality of something based on how much people haven't been exposed to it. Because, like, how can you say a movie isn't good because a lot of people haven't watched it? Like they haven't watched it, so they don't know if it's good or bad. Like, how can you make a comment on the quality of something just because of its level of exposure?
Yeah,
And
another.
same thing with like when something's really good and people will be like, oh, this because people do this with YouTube videos a lot. Oh, this video is getting a lot of traction because it's good. And it's like the video is good, but they have to click on it to find out it's good. So that's kind of not why it has a lot of traction. It's just a coincidence.
Yeah, you see it in a lot of movies. If you go down Rotten Tomato, if you look at the tomato score versus the audience score, you'll see like it'll be certified rotten by Rotten Tomato. I have like a 12%, and then you go look at the audience score, it's like 98% because they love it. Listen to the audience score because that's you. That's you as the viewer that is giving it that score. So if it's got a good audience score, the movie's probably going to be decent.
Yeah,
But
because that's what people don't understand is that critics, for the most part, they're literally sitting there thinking to themselves as the movie is happening, you know, the way that boom arm moved wasn't very smooth.
I don't
So
even
of
think
course they're gonna rate it differently than they're literally looking for like
well,
frame they literally are looking frame by frame and these details that the average person watching a movie would never even consider.
well, I still think that people think that we live in the time of Siskel and Ebert or Leonard Maltin. That we're going to break down a movie and give you like an objective point of view, give it the thumbs up or the thumbs down from Siskel and Ebert. People don't do that anymore. Now you've got probably some 28-year-old intern who's 5 minutes out of college who thinks that like fucking Fast and the Furious is a classic. But it's like somebody who's never seen a movie that was made prior to the year 2000. He's the one up there saying, "Oh, well, this I know everything about film because I just graduated from NYU Film School. Get the fuck out of here."
I'm 28 and I'm feeling very attacked right now.
But you've already admitted to not being a big movie guy, so I'm going to give you a little bit of grace on that. But it's like I said, you've got these people that went to film school and they're like 25 years old and they're getting out in the world. They're like, I know everything about movies because I went to USC Film School, which is a great film school, one of the best in the world. That doesn't mean you know shit. It's like Kevin Smith dropped out of film school. Look what a great filmmaker he is. And he's not a fucking jag-off fucking asshole.
I think what people don't get. Go on.
Likes.
I think what people don't get is that I would say probably like 90% of people who watch movies and read books, but who consume media of any kind are interested in story. And all the rest of the stuff is a bonus. Because like I said, they'll say stuff like this movie wasn't great because the frame rate was off. It's like the random dude on the street is thinking about how, that character whose father abandoned him as a child reminds him of his father abandoning him as a child, and he relates to that guy, and he's happy to see him win. That's why people like movies and books and comics and all that stuff. The amount of people that would care about frame rate and the smoothness of a boom arm are so small and insignificant that it's not even worth considering their opinion as the grand scheme.
Most film pundits are full of shit anyway. I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, The Room is a really good movie." I'm like, "Get the fuck away from me! You're just trying to be a contrarian. You're an idiot. That movie's fucking awful. It's one of the worst movies ever made." "Oh no, you just don't get it. There's an artistry." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here! I'm gonna punch you in the face and tell me that's a good movie again. It's a bad movie." They made a movie about how bad that movie was. It's like, come on.
If the artistry is truly good, you don't need to be told it's a good movie. And it's just that simple. No matter how odd or random or weird, it is, if the artistry is truly there and all the hidden meanings are there, then even as a person who doesn't like it, you would be able to see the quality in it.
Yeah, but I'm done ranting now. I need to be done ranting. I have something I need to do before I go to bed. But thanks to my co-host.
I just find it funny that you just
awesome.
spent 5 minutes. I find it funny you just spent 10 minutes, ranting about how you shouldn't listen to reviews on your review platform.
You know what? I've told people many times, don't listen to me. That movie is art. Art is subjective. Like, I look at a painting and I'm like, it's paint on a canvas. I don't feel it the way that I have a friend of mine who's an artist named Tiffany Clark. She's a fantastic artist. She looks at these paintings and she is emotionally moved. And I'm like, I get why. I know what I think is beautiful and what I like, but I don't get it. It doesn't touch me the way it touches her. And movies are the same thing. It's like, I joke around with Jennifer all the time. She doesn't like The Godfather. She thinks the movie's boring. And I'm like, how could you think that? That's one of the greatest movies ever made. But I understand that art is subjective. She watches this and it doesn't hit her the same way it hits me. Things like that. So I try not to be too much of an asshole about it, but art is art. I don't sit there and criticize the painting and be like, oh, well, this brush stroke is going in the wrong direction. I don't know what the artist was doing with this section over here. I'm just like, that's a pretty cool picture. I like it. I can hang that on the wall of my living room. Look pretty cool. It's like I don't pick apart shit that I don't know anything about. But anyway, like I said, I'm done ranting. We need to move on. I need to go ahead and close this thing out. But thanks to my co-host for being so awesome as always. Starting with my hetero life mate Jerry, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Over here, falling the fuck asleep on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Whatever we're doing Thursday, I have no idea.
I don't know. We'll figure something out between now and then. I thought that Stranger Things dropped this week or next week. But anyway,
it's next week.
We'll figure it out. Or maybe Jeremy just takes the day off and takes a nap, and I'll figure something else to do. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
And Alex Payne. Honestly, are you guys even? Have you and Ray even talked for a while? I was thinking about Ray the other day. I need to reach out to him.
No, yeah, we still talk. We're still buddies. We haven't done anything YouTube-wise in a very long time, but we still talk. And to answer the question you didn't ask, I can be found nowhere and everywhere.
He's just roaming around somewhere. Just go Google Alex Payne, you'll find him.
Yeah.
And will you like what you find? Who knows? But we look forward to having Alex back on here later as I do more hangouts and stuff like that. Alex and I go back to the Derailed days, all the good times we had over there. But Derail is still up. Go watch Drew play his video games. He's doing the GTA thing, and I'm sure he's eager for GTA 6 to come out. It's only been cooking for what, 15, 20 years now, Jay? Is that about right?
That's been pushed back again, so who even cares at this point?
It'll happen when it happens. As for me, you'll find me back here on Thursday doing something. I don't know what quite yet, but I don't know. Maybe we'll do something off the wall. My girlfriend texted me earlier. She goes, you guys should review Drop Dead Fred. It's a funny movie. And I'm like, probably not. Probably not. But we'll be back here on Thursday doing something. Till then, we'll see you guys next time. Adios. I mean, a cameo from the original movie would have killed him. If not Jesse the Body, I mean, I know a couple of these guys are dead now, but I mean, come on. Jesse the Body would have done it.
Somebody.
Jesse the Body is on. I was going through Cameo the other night because I was listening to Alex the Garbage Man talk about it. These guys are all on Cameo. If they're on Cameo selling messages for $60, I bet you could give them a couple bucks to show up in this movie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, something. He could have been like the host of one of the other shows or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.